Hi, I'm continuing my e-girl arc, recording Zealandisms from Yabe's setup for a second consecutive day. And there's there's something else that during my travel day I'm absolutely desperate to talk about. Because when I say that this entire thing has blown my fucking mind, I mean it. This entire thing has blown my fucking mind. It doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, so riddle me this. Right, we've got a guy who seems to be the next Zinedine Zidane, right? I mean, there's the opinion is out. His career is early. We don't necessarily know how good exactly he's going to be, right? But Jude Bellingham, it's very clear at 21 years old, is one of the best midfielders in the world, right? And if he was from most countries, he would be getting celebrated and venerated in a way that somebody of that sort of ability level just should be celebrated. Like, I don't know. You would just be, I mean, Christian Pulisic is half the player Jude Bellingham is right now, right? And I jokingly and somewhat seriously like worship the guy on occasion. You know, like he is the savior. He's the guy that can get the job done. He's the guy that when the United States plays against Brazil in a friendly actually goes and scores the one goal, right? The guy that can make the difference, the guy that can create some sort of separation. And England's not very good right now, right? They're not. The English national team has a lot of individual talent, but it just doesn't come together to blow teams away, right? Obviously, they're not the only team in this tournament that's managed to survive by doing this. Portugal and France are both really talented teams that are not blowing other teams away and surviving by the skin of their teeth, and that's perfectly fine. The point of the game is to win, right? But if you're trying to use performance as a predictor, then the prediction's not looking good for England, France, or Portugal because they seem to just be sputtering along at the moment. But England's one of those teams. Okay, but there's a guy out there that can make a difference. Right, a guy that it just shows up in big moments, a guy that makes big plays, a guy that even if he's bad for most of a match can pop up and make a massive play, a guy that basically everybody that you talk to, whether it's a director of football or a coach, right, talks about as one of the best prospects in the world, one of the best midfielders in the world already. I mean, Real Madrid doesn't spend money, like serious money, on anyone anymore. It feels like they just buy 17-year-olds for 60 million, but they went out and dropped a cool 9 figures on this kid, right? Jude Bellingham. And I get it. England not being very good. You're playing against Slovakia. England should be blowing out Slovakia. But I don't care if you are playing the local YMCA. If you're losing to that team in the 95th minute and you score a bicycle kick goal to tie it, that's sick. That's awesome. That is highlight reel for the rest of time sort of cool. I mean, if you're talking about goals that will be remembered from this tournament, that's in the top 5, if not the top 1, right? That is, there was 30 seconds left in that match. England against Slovakia, which of course England would go on to win because Harry Kane scored like 2 seconds into extra time to send England to the quarterfinal and keep them in this tournament. But you know what happens, right? If that's Luke Shaw or Conor Gallagher, right, who's popping up in that spot, if that's Declan Rice or maybe even Bukayo Saka, I don't know if any of those guys have this in their bag in that spot instead of Jude Bellingham. That ball's probably, if not definitely, not in the back of the net. But there was Jude Bellingham in that spot, and he biked it into the back of the net. And the reason this whole thing blows my mind is because this video basically should end with me just being like, wow, Jude Bellingham is really building up his lore here and making himself into one of the hottest prospects and one of the best players in the world. But this video does not end here, right? Because Jude Bellingham did all that. He scored the goal in a Euros knockout match to literally keep England alive. But if you watch the reaction to it, you would think that English people almost didn't want their team to stay in. Like, I know you score the goal and you celebrate, but there was this huge backlash against Jude Bellingham, right? And the reason I started this video constructing the situation for you, like you are this wonder kid, you're kind of this chosen one type player, and you deliver. I mean, first major international tournament where Jude Bellingham goes into it being a bona fide superstar, and he delivers the most important goal for England. I mean, what more could you possibly want? And you know what? He had some swagger about it too. He scored. He ran away from it saying, "Who else?" That's badass. How is that not badass? That's so cool. Like, I realize this come off as me like I'm glazing Jude Bellingham here, but I'm sorry, how is that not sick? How is that not what we idealize, what we idolize professional athletes for. Ronaldo, Messi taking his shirt off and flipping it around. That's who else, right? That's the physical embodiment of who else, right? And we celebrate that kind of badassery, that kind of me. It's me. You know, in the NBA, it happens all the Dame time, right? Damian Lillard hits a shot. He just, Dame time. It's my time. This is my shot, and that's why I made it, right? That's what Jude Bellingham just did. And then he like grabbed his nuts towards the Slovakia bench, right? Yeah, maybe that's a little too far, right? But we don't know what the type of trash talk Slovakia was involved in. And let's be entirely honest, this is a knockout match at a major international tournament. The emotions are not higher than this. We're talking about levels of pressure that break somebody as rock solid as Cristiano Ronaldo. That man was having an emotional breakdown after missing a penalty now because he's one of the best players ever. Obviously, he bounces back, right? He scores the next penalty, right? So, but like that's the amount of pressure we're dealing with here, the amount of national scrutiny, national pressure that Jude Bellingham just managed to deliver under all of it. So yeah, he was talking a little bit of trash, and yeah, he celebrated. Of course, he celebrated. What are you supposed to apologize because you scored against an underdog in the 95th minute? If Slovakia was really that big of an underdog, they wouldn't be in the fucking Euros knockouts in the first place. Right? We're talking about a team that is clearly legit. Right? These are the last 16 teams in Europe. They just went through a group stage. Okay. Slovakia just got out of a group after getting a result against Belgium. If they were a big enough underdog, you should feel bad about it. If you score the 8th goal against Gibraltar, you probably don't need to drop a massive celly. If you're in the Euros round of 16, celebrate all that. Like, celebrate all you want. You just scored a bicycle kick goal to tie the match. So I got to get to the reaction, though, because I think it's summarized best by this, but I've pulled a bunch of tweets that kind of echoed the same vibe. Jude Bellingham sits down at the post-match press conference and says, sometimes it feels like there's a pile-on from the fans. Moments like tonight, throw it back to some people, right? And then somehow, although that to me sounds like a perfectly reasonable response, somehow that is a bad thing. Great goal, but this bloke is a bit of a prick. England players nowadays don't represent their country. They represent themselves. England caps are nothing but status. Jude Bellingham on £200,000 a week to kick a ball. Translated, I work really hard for those ungrateful fans that should feel privileged to be able to watch me play. And that goal is a good way to shut the cunts up. Bullocks. All right, just shut up. Okay, this just doesn't make any sense to me. What you are asking for in this situation is the right to be able to criticize the team with impunity, right? What confuses me about sports fans to no end is that if you talk mad shit, don't act like they can't hear you, right? Don't act like Jude Bellingham doesn't have a fucking phone with Twitter and has seen all the shit people have said around the English national team. But he's not even directly calling out the English fans here. Right? He's obviously implicitly calling out some English fans. He's basically doing what every rapper does. You just say, like, fuck the haters, basically. But, I mean, he's not, the guy continues. It gets even more ridiculous. Dave, the Sparky from Canvey, burned 2 weeks of 4 annual leave and sold his car so that him and his son could come and watch you load a prima donna's fuck around for 90 minutes. Watch you load of prima donnas fuck around for 90 minutes. One, I mean, what is this? Is this a political debate? We're inventing a character that sold his car to go to these matches, right? Like, I mean, that's how you know you're making a stupid argument right there, just off the drop. That we're just inventing some sort of character that has done this over the time. Are there one or two people that might have sold their car to do this? Yes. Was that a wise and prudent financial decision? No. Is Jude Bellingham responsible for that incredibly stupid financial decision? No. You probably get mad at UEFA if you feel like the ticket prices are maybe a bit too much, but honestly, you guys all live in Europe. It's like a 20-minute train ride to get anywhere. I don't want to hear it. If I want to go to California to watch my team play in a domestic league, it's 6 hours away on a plane. So just cry me a damn river. Seriously. But he is not talking trash to these fans. Do you even begin to understand the amount of shit somebody like even Jude Bellingham gets, right? Because if you haven't noticed in the last 6 months, the narrative is adjusted from Jude Bellingham as the chosen one to, wow, Jude Bellingham's PR is a little ridiculous. Let's start hating on Jude Bellingham for something that by and large is kind of just completely out of his control and that people overhyped him. right? Because it's impossible to live up to the standard that's already been created by Jude Bellingham in this situation. Or should I say, like, for Jude Bellingham. So all he's saying is that all that noise, all these people talking trash, all these people maybe saying that he's overrated, all these people saying that England's going to get knocked out by Slovakia, or that they're not good enough, or that they're terrible, right? Obviously, England did not play well, but they won the game. And the only reason they won the game is because this dude scored one of the best goals you could possibly hope to score, and one of the craziest moments you could possibly hope to score it. So yes, he's using people shitting on him and his team as motivation. What great athlete doesn't do that? Michael Jordan used to invent trash that people said to him to fire him up. And all he's saying is it's nice to be able to throw it back. It's nice to be able to prove that we can do it. How is this something that pissed anybody off? And this isn't the only tweet that I saw that kind of went after this specific situation. Great goal by Bellingham, no doubt, but what an arrogant, narcissistic cunt he is. Over 8,000 likes. You absolutely cannot do that celebration to equalize against Slovakia. Fuck off. How? Why? It's the knockouts to the Euros. What are you're only supposed to celebrate? I mean, like, where's the line? The World Cup final? Oh, but only only extra time of the World Cup final. If you're already up 1-0 in the first half of the World Cup final, bro, celebrating is cringe. Celebrating your success is cringe. But I think if we wanted to boil this down, like, the absolute best is this tweet says you got past Slovakia, champs. Got 32,000 likes. It is because Jude Bellingham posted posted something that's the man in the arena. This is a poem or kind of an essay, like a soliloquy. I don't really know what that word means. From, I believe it was Teddy Roosevelt. And obviously he was president of the U.S. a little over 100 years ago. But I always thought the man in the arena was a great thing. I'll summarize it for you. The gist is basically that you cannot criticize the man in the arena if you've not experienced what the arena is like. And I'm going to be honest, I agree with Jude Bellingham on this. I think that that's generally an application. I think leveraging complaints about your sports team is just part of human nature, right? Thousands of years, people have been some dude in ancient Rome was complaining about how his favorite gladiator was choking it up, right? And sucking it up. And his favorite horse racing team was just all of a sudden a hot pile of ass. Or this region of Rome's national team was worse than the other region of Rome's national team, right? It's just human nature to complain about how shitty your sports team is, right? But actually kind of directing it at the person who you don't know, right? And really attempting to eviscerate that person based off of what you see them doing in the arena. The idea that if you don't know what it's like in that arena, then you shouldn't be leveraging that sort of, you shouldn't be leveraging that criticism because you don't understand what that does to a person, basically. There's a great line in it that says, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. Basically, the idea that somebody like Jude Bellingham is willing to try. Somebody like Jude Bellingham is willing to be the lightning rod. Somebody like Jude Bellingham is willing to step forward into the impossibly bright spotlight of being the great hope for England. Right? And that spotlight is withering. And yet, in spite of that, managed to deliver when his country needed him most in the round of 16. England's in the quarterfinal because of one man, and apparently it doesn't hate that one man or the celebration. And apparently it hates that one man, and his celebration was a little too cringe and whatever. But honestly, at what point can we just watch sports and appreciate winning and celebrate like winning? And like why is everything so unbelievably meta? Right. I don't even like, there's so many layers about it. What is even the right answer? Right. If he scores against Slovakia and doesn't celebrate, there's going to be a bunch of people mad at him that he didn't celebrate because all of a sudden he doesn't care for England. Right. I mean, you can't have it both ways. Right. You're either passionate, you care, or you're a giant dick because you're celebrating against a team that you're supposed to be scoring against. This blew my mind. I actually can't believe it. I can't believe that a lot of these reactions are legitimately real. I mean, they even got mad at him for like firing up the fans. Bellingham asking the fans for more is just pure arrogance. I mean, that's what players do. He's not insulting the fans by going, "Let's go." He's just trying to the players just working together with I can't. My brain's broken. I literally can't. I can't talk about it anymore.